Welcome to Pick a Roll. I'm Jaxson.
I'm Jonathan.
We talk all things NBA from the stars of the past to what's going on today. Today we have kind of a fun one. It's like the top three biggest controversies in the basketball history, really, not just NBA, kind of everything. We found out like kind of just we have the exact same list, so we're kind of just gonna work together on our list and kind of
talk about them and why they're so controversial and everything.
Yeah.
So okay, which one do you want to start with?
On here I have the 2002 the conference finals with the Kings and the
Western Conference
Lakers.
Finals, Lakers and Kings. Okay. Go ahead and give me your thoughts on that. Or
yeah, I mean it's it's kind of one of the big things. I mean they had like more than double more free throws. Like they shot way more free throws. It was like you could like really see it. Like I remember there's like a couple plays, even like with Kobe. I'm a huge Kobe fan. Like as I know, I love Kobe. But like there's this one clip you see all the time. He like goes around someone, elbows the defender, gets open, and it's like found the defender.
Yeah.
I think, which is like anyone watching the game, anyone who knows basketball, that's immediately a foul, right? And like you hear too, I think it was right after that series, like a couple years later, the ref, I forget his name, was caught in a scandal for rigging games on purpose. Tim Donaghy, I think was his name.
Tim Donaghy, yep,
sounds right. Yeah, it was just, I was a big, obviously didn't really watch him live, but I looked over the highlights and I really was a fan of their power forward, Chris
Webber.
Chris Webber, that's it. Like, I liked him. I think he's really great, very underrated. So it just kind of sucks that, if the NBA wasn't, if the referee wasn't rigging it, or maybe the NBA was rigging it, right? I kind of feel like because no one wants to see the Kings versus, who did they play that year? Who did the Lakers play that year? I feel like.
I don't remember who else the Lakers played before, but
yeah.
So kind of go my thoughts on this that I have. It wasn't even the whole series. The real controversy came on Game 6 of that Western Conference Finals, and as you kind of look through this and kind of go back and forth throughout and say, well, they still had a chance in Game 7. Being the Kings still had a chance in Game 7 to win, but they didn't. So part of the controversy behind this, there's a couple things. Tim Donaghy being one of them, and the reason why this kind of came to light was after he was convicted. This was one of the things that he spoiled, but kind of released and said, hey, this was a game that was kind of set up. Looking back, there was an interview with David Stern, who was a commissioner at the time. Someone asked him, said, hey, if you could, who would be your ideal finals lineup? And he said, my ideal finals lineup would be the LA Lakers versus the LA Lakers. Said everyone seems to love the Lakers. They draw a ton of attention. So it's no surprise that what Tim Donaghy said, that the NBA wanted the Lakers in the finals, or at least they wanted that series to go. At the time, the Kings were up 3-2. They were going into Game 6, and that's when Tim Donaghy said that it was kind of the Lakers were kind of pushed to go into it. So couple things here. The Lakers for that game, the Lakers shot 40 free throws to the Kings 25 free throws. I mean, it is a disparity. It's 15 free throws. That's pretty insane. But in the fourth quarter alone, it was 27-9 on free throws. Jeez. So 3 times as many free throws as the Kings were getting. In fact, they were getting 27-9. That's over 2 free throws a minute that the Lakers were getting. Yeah. So you can kind of see. It resulted in 2 Kings being ejected for bad calls and 2 fouled out. And Chris Webber had 5 fouls. So they had a ton of fouls going on there. Despite that, the Kings still managed to keep the game close, despite that mountain of calls. And there was a lot. I mean, if you rewatch the last 3 minutes, it was just terrible. Calls that were not being called against the Lakers, where they're getting harassed, and then barely brush calls or straight up calls that are being called fouls. It's just so lopsided that last 3 minutes. It was shocking. But at the end, Mike Bibby gets a chance to try to inbound it to him, and Kobe Bryant, this might be the one you're talking about, is all over him, just elbows him all over him, and the foul gets called on Mike Bibby, which is just surprising. And that kind of at the end just kind of sealed it. And I could see, yes, they said, well, they had a chance to come back on Game 7, but if you're on the losing end of what you feel like was a conspiracy being that like how hard are you going to come out and fight on in Game 7? You know?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
like they don't want us here. They don't want us to win. And I feel bad because that resulted in Chris Webber not getting a ring. Mike Bibby was great too. And that particular Kings team holds a special place in my heart because it's the same team that eliminated the Jazz the final year of Stockton's career. And on that game, when they were up, I think they were up 3 games to 1, or maybe it was just a sweep, or whatever it was. But it was in Sacramento, excuse me, Stockton's final game. And as he checks out for the last time, the crowd gave him a standing ovation, which is so classy, so awesome to see. So that's something I'll always remember as a Jazz fan, just how classy they were on the send-off for him. And so for them not to get, and I don't know if this calls it back from a ring, but at least a chance to go to the finals. It was pretty controversial. And they came back and said, even I think Kobe Bryant said years later, said, well, they still had a chance to win Game 7 and didn't, but I think they might have been known that that game was kind of fixed for him. So
absolutely,
I think that's a good one on the list. Yeah, that was pretty blatant, especially those that want to go back and watch the last, especially the last fourth quarter of that Game 6 was pretty ugly to watch.
It was just like, look at it, just like bad basketball. Like I see like clips of it all the time, and it's like Kobe, like older guy, like that clip, like he goes over Mike Bibby, like elbows him in the back to get open, gets the ball, and it's a foul Mike Bibby, and it's like really like anyone with eyes can tell. And I think too, like the Kings were like notoriously bad for a long time. Like they've been bad for like 20 years, and when they won the first series, it was like this huge. Or like when the playoffs the first time, like what 20 years, like this huge, Look the Beam was like this huge thing.
A couple of years ago,
yeah. So imagine the culture would be so different if they at least made it to the finals, right? That type of like a winning culture, that would be, like a way different culture. We talk about Kings differently. The Kings are like again notoriously bad, like almost like wizards, right? Like they're just a terrible team. So I wonder like how it would be different if. Things weren't rigged. Okay, we'll move on. I think this one's kind of a fun one. I looked at this one a couple years ago, and I was kind of fascinated by it because it was so like crazy to me. The Mouse at the Palace. That one is pretty insane. The whole like, I think it was like the beer throwing on Ron Artest when he was like laying on the scores table, punches the wrong guy. This whole crazy thing, and he was like suspended for like the rest of the season, I think, and it was a whole like escapade. It was pretty insane.
It was bad. I didn't watch it live, but I remember hearing about it the next day, and so then I went back and rewatched what happens, and it turned my stomach. Like I watched it, and I was just like it went beyond. Because I mean, you're used to seeing scuffles, in basketball, and since Malice in the Palace, it's really calmed down. They really take this kind of escalation very seriously. But before, you'd see like some shoving and stuff, be like, no big deal. But this, this two of the hottest heads in the NBA at the time. You got Ben Wallace on one side and Ron Artest on the other. Those two kind of get each other's face, and it wasn't even them that in my opinion, that were at fault. It was the fans, that in the Palace of Auburn Hills that caught it, that did it. The beer being thrown on Ron Artest. He didn't react as you'd hope to, but I mean, what do you expect from a person that's just laying there and they get hit with the beer? Not that justifies how he reacted, but that just the chain reaction events first came from that. If I remember right, the person that threw the beer, they did find him on camera, and they did end up charging him. I don't remember what he was charged with, but he did get charged something there. But then just going after the fans in the stands was just, it was unheard of. And I don't think it happened before or since in the NBA. So it's just been absolutely crazy. There's, iconic shots of Jermaine O'Neal knocking somebody out. Different players like that, stuff being thrown all over. The game never finished, it never stopped. They actually just called the game with the last 30 seconds and just evacuated. It was out of hand anyways. The score was what it was. But how crazy. I mean, I think it led to 8 suspensions on each team. Obviously, Ron Artest being the longest, being one of the longest, being kicked out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But in a way, it also changed a lot of how the NBA deals with unruly fans. You can be banned. You've seen it before, where both LeBron and Russell Westbrook, notoriously in Salt Lake, is pointed to different fans and have them ejected. Just if they're really aggravating to the players, and like, hey, this person's causing an issue, they need to leave. So I think that's a good thing. It's good for the sport. The players, as much as we think that they're celebrities and whatnot, they shouldn't have to put up with that.
Yeah.
If we're going to, but we don't want to protect them in a bubble where how it was in 2020, where there's no fans anywhere.
Yeah.
So part of the fun experience is having a live fan and being there in the crowd, but they've got to be respectful. So this just kind of, I think, made a lot of mistakes more glaringly obvious. But man, it was ugly to watch. Like it was, and I imagine being in Indiana, how scared you are. You got 15,000 people against you. Like as strong as you are, you can't fight them all at the same time. So I can see how that, as bad as it was, it could have been a lot worse still. So luckily it didn't end up being worse. But man, that was a ugly thing to watch.
I think the craziest thing was the guy who threw the first beat at Ron Artest, who really sparked everything, right? The whole the first snowball. Ron Artest, when he went to go punch the guy, it was the wrong guy. The guy next to him, which is like, that's like that. You're this poor guy, and you're like watching this guy crazy guy next to you, gets you knocked out, right? The whole thing. I remember seeing a video a couple years ago, and it's like I was really blown away because that other time too, when Allen Iverson was getting in trouble for wearing streetwear and all these things. He was as a thug, and the NBA looked like they were saying the NBA was full of thugs, and it gave a bad name to basketball, really. But
that's when they came out with the dress code. It was right after that. Yep.
Yeah, so it was it was a controversy too, because it was if it was restricting to what you could wear, even, and it was just caused so many problems just because of this. And Ron Artest suspended for a while, but again, it's the fans. There's a line you can go to, right? As a fan, it's fun to try to the other team to really try to get in their head, but there's a line too. You don't throw stuff at people because it's that's that's assault, right? That's a crime. It's, you shouldn't do that in general, right? So it's crazy. I remember looking back at it and you see, I forgot what caused Martez to lay down. I think it looked like bad foul call or whatever, because those teams were already kind of head to head. They already had some bad blood between them.
Yeah, they got the scuffle with him and Ben Wallace got into a fight, so they both got sent out. And Ron Artest was I don't know what I say, pouting, but frustrated.
Yeah.
So he laid across the score table, and that's what happened. So
So those two obviously had bad blood between them, those teams, and I think I heard when I saw the video about it, it was the whole season, even I think the season before that, those two teams were just butting heads and really going at it. So you're gonna have these teams that are contending for the East, because the East wasn't the strongest at that time, but if you're battling battleground the East, and so there's already that bad blood established, and then you go and get disrespectful with fans. I mean, again, I'm not justifying it, but you can kind of see why he would, right? Everyone really would kind of go start attacking fans, but I mean, I would just be so scared of the fans too, right? Because these guys, even though they outnumber them, there's also what, 6'8", 200 pounds of muscle, right? They're not small people, so that guy, you're gonna get knocked out pretty quick. So
I know, and not to make light of the situation, but one thing is funny when you see one of the fans come down on the court, and the fan is an older, pudgy, white guy that kind of gets up there and squares up, and you can see when he comes down, he squares up. You can tell he immediately regrets that decision. He's like, I don't want to be here. He just gets dropped right away. You can tell these guys are a lot bigger up front than I realized they were. So
I know it's watching on TV and from way in the nosebleeds, they look so tiny, but they're it's 6'5" and as short for NBA.
Yeah, when you've ever met any of the NBA players, even the point guards are giants. It's crazy.
It really shocks you. Okay, we'll do our final one.
So number one on the list was both on our list, and this one still angered me, and I didn't even learn about this until probably 5 years ago. So how could it be the biggest controversy? But let me tell you the details of this, and you'll kind of see. When I first heard about it, I'm like, there's no way that happened. So I read about it, I looked it up, and I am shocked that this actually happened. This happened in the 1972 Olympics, the Olympic gold medal game, held in Munich, and this was between the U.S. and Russia. At the time, the U.S. was going on a 36-year streak of being undefeated. The U.S. national team never been beaten before, but they weren't using pro players. They were using just the college players. But obviously, basketball was invented in the U.S. It's a U.S. sport, so that's kind of how it started. And the origins were. So they were going on there. Most famously was Doug Collins, who's Hall of Famer, was on this team, the 1972 Olympic team. So here's kind of how it goes, and it has to go at the final. How the game ended. Okay, so the U.S. was up 50-49, with Doug Collins hitting 2 free throws near the end of the game. So I say near the end of the game because there's 3 seconds left after he hit it. So one thing to understand about the international basketball rules at the time is you could not call a timeout between free throws like how you do in the NBA. They'll kind of take a free throw and call a timeout to kind of get the play. Okay, if he makes it, this. If he misses, then this we're going to do type of thing. They couldn't do that. So they had to wait till after the second free throw before they could call a timeout. So that's how it happened. So Doug Collins hit 2 free throws, putting them U.S. up 50-49. So Russia keeps the ball, or they hurry and inbound the ball actually. So free throw goes in. So imagine the free throw goes in, they hurry and inbound the ball, and they start heading down court. And that's when the scorekeeper hits the buzzer, and they're like, and after interviewing the Russian players, were like, wait, that was really fast, 3 seconds. But the Russian, or the timekeeper, I won't say Russian, but the timekeeper was buzzing it because the ref was, or the coach was yelling for a timeout. So he didn't want them to inbound the ball. He wanted to call a timeout. So they call a timeout. The clock shows 1 second left. But I didn't write down his name, but there was a representative from the International Basketball Association that came down to the score table and said, no, let's give them the full 3 seconds back. So they go from 1 second to 3 seconds, which, in NBA is an eternity. So they get to pass the ball in now from 3 seconds. And they have to do it from full court. They didn't have the rule where they could take it half court. They pass it from full court. So, all right, so they're going to get 3 seconds back. So they get the ball again underneath the U.S. hoop. They pass the ball and they start going. They lob it down to try to get a touch, to try to get close to the hoop. And it's broken up by the U.S. And the U.S. celebrates, yay, we won. And they blow a whistle again. Say, no. We have to do it for a third time. We have to pass it for a third time. This time because when we said reset the clock to 3 seconds, they weren't done resetting it. So the clock keeper wasn't ready for them to inbound the ball, was the excuse they gave us the third time. So now, for the third time, they get to go ahead and pass the ball in. The third time, they lob it down to a center. Center pump fakes, puts up a little shot as the buzzer goes in. And that's the one that counts, right? Yeah. So that's the one that ends. U.S. is understandably incredibly upset. Yeah. I mean, we've all seen NBA games, where they kind of come down to a controversial last shot. They don't give you a do-over, let alone 2 do-overs. Yeah. If that's what happens, that's the end of the game. You don't say, oh no, I wasn't ready, or no, this person wasn't ready, timekeeper wasn't ready, we got to restart it, got to try again. Yeah. I meant to call a timeout, you need to start again with the full time. That doesn't happen. That would never happen in the NBA, but it happened in the Olympics twice. So U.S. is obviously upset. They do an appeals process, and it goes to a panel of 5 judges. And they lose the appeal 3-2. The 3-3 were also Eastern European, Russia's neighbors. Yeah. And they all wanted the U.S. to finally go down. Excuse me. So when the award ceremony came, Russia gets the gold medal, and the U.S. team refused to even go out. They refused to accept the medals. They refused to go on the podium. They just refused to recognize that they lost that game. So I don't blame them. I read it, and it completely shocked me that was allowed to fly, and that they lost the appeal on it. How ridiculous. But that to me is the biggest robbery in all of basketball that I've ever seen, I've ever heard about. So that's to me is the number one controversy.
Absolutely, yeah. That was my list too. I remember you told me about that. Again, I think after you found it, you're like, yeah, I hear. But so I heard this thing with Soviet Union at the time, and America. And I was like, what? That's crazy. And then I kind of looked on my own, and then even look at the documentary with the Dream Team on Netflix. I believe they gave one of the gold medals to one of the players on that team, which is really cool. But I mean, yeah, imagine being the USA team, right? Him knocking free throws, like, okay, yeah, we won. Like they messed up, and they're like, wait, no, we're not ready. I'm like, oh, okay, well, play it again. They throw it down full court, you stop it. Yeah, you won again. Wait, no, we're not ready. Wait, let's do it again. And then they do it, and then you lose, and I'd be like, wait, but we won twice.
Twice
and, like,
in a row, yeah.
You can't.
You keep replaying the
like,
same thing, yeah.
And yeah, like you hear like the whole panel, like everyone around there was like, yeah, Eastern European or like Russian or right there. So it's
could you imagine? I mean, talking about our first controversy with the Game 6, could you imagine if that had been similar? Like that would never ever fly in the NBA. Be like, oh, Mike maybe made a shot. Let's redo that. Let's try again. Okay, do another 3 seconds. Oh, worked again. Let's retry it again until we get the result we want. Like that would never happen. And the fact that it wasn't so obvious to everybody that this was against rules and being rigged, and it was allowed to stand and allowed to go through. I mean, the Olympics have never been known to be, unbiased to begin with. I mean, it's one of the most rigged, controversial things. Yeah. Everyone's corrupt. All the countries are corrupt. All the judges are corrupt. But it still just shocks me that went through, and that still in the books is going to Russia. So, yeah, that's my take of the three biggest controversies. There's obviously a lot of them. You kind of mentioned the Allen Iverson thing. I read a lot as I was kind of looking to see what other ones were out there. The NBA Finals with the Mavericks and the Heat.
Yes.
That was the first one. How you talk about free throw disparity, I kind of went into there a lot too. So there's a couple of them that are on there, but I think these are a good top three that we have.
I want to do one more like honorable mention. Okay. Just because this one was also another big one. I kind of thought of on the spot. The Patrick Ewing when he was drafted, how they supposedly froze the document. They like bent the corner or this all these things. Like you see, like even for look back at right, he goes in. All the other ones are normal. Like the hits against the side of it. Yep. You see it's like he tests all the other ones. Like it looks right on like camera. And lo and behold, one of the biggest markets in basketball, New York gets one of the greatest centers of all time. Yep. I mean, it's a little fishy, right? So what are your thoughts about that? I think that's rigged.
Yeah, that was the first year that they tried the lottery, and it's never been good. Yeah. I mean, as a Jazz fan last year, not getting Cooper Flag, we understand that the lottery system is terrible. But that was pretty bad. First year they try it, and they just had it before it was electronic like it is now, where they just pull the envelope out, and you can see they load the envelope in the bin, and one envelope gets thrown against the wall. So I don't know if you're really feel for the one that has a dent in the corner, or there's the theory is the frozen one, like feel for the one that's cold or frozen, because they at the time, because Patrick Ewing was a big name and everyone wanted him, and at the time the rule was the worst team gets the first pick. Yeah, and so teams were trying to lose. They were literally cheering when they lose a game. The crowd would cheer like, "Yay, we're closer to getting Patrick Ewing." So that's when they changed. I said, "Nope, we're not going to have you'll purposely lose. We're still going to say you got to try to win because it's not a guarantee, but." Wink, wink, New York. It's a guaranteed still, it's all right. We want Patrick Ewing to go here to a big market. So we could do a whole episode on draft theories, draft conspiracies. There's so many of them out there. Yeah. But that maybe another time we'll do that. But that's our three for now. I think that's a good list. And that's another one we could add too. Yeah. Patrick Ewing one.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, when we drafted to the Mavericks, we were like, okay, that's rigged, but. Yeah, we're not going to get too into it, but both of us as Jazz fans were like, really? Yeah. You trade away a generational talent, and then you get like the number one pick.
Some kind of universal compensation magically lands in your lap.
Yeah. That's just, that got us pretty riled up. Yep. But, those are some of the biggest controversies that we thought reserved meant that it was pretty fun and we had the same list. But just, you hear all these stories and you're like, really? Like, that's crazy to us. This was really fun. So we're doing another episode. We're gonna get right to this one. This one I'm kind of excited for. It's gonna be like the best, most clutch plays, both offensive and defensive. Just really any clutch plays. Our top three, just in all of the NBA history. So I'm pretty excited for it because obviously, really, you don't really watch for the blocks. You watch for the clutch plays, the down to the final seconds, the half-court heaves, all these shots. These are the ones you look for. So I'm excited for this. It's something I love watching. I remember I watched plays on YouTube of like hours and hours of just game winners and get clutch blocks and clutch plays are just so fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're gonna do that. That's the next episode. I'm really excited for it. So yep, see you guys then.
Okay, see ya. Thanks.